uma fortuna avaliada em 3 bilhões de dólares, Donald Trump diz que gasta menos que 450 mil dólares por mês em despesas pessoais. Tudo isso depois de passar grandes dificuldades econômicas, lavar roupa suja de seu divórcio com Ivana Trump em público, sempre alimentando todas as fofocas mundiais. Mesmo investindo pesado em cassinos, Donald Trump diz que não tem medo da máfia, que é vingativo e que não perdoa uma traição. Com vocês, Donald Trump, a celebridade do luxo. Donald, tell me, what are the qualities to be a very successful businessman?
Well, I think one of them is perseverance, because you look at what's happening in the world today and everything seems to be going bad for so many different people in Brazil and the United States. And I think one of them is really the ability to stand pressure and persevere. That's a very important word. On the assumption that you have the attributes of intelligence and business sense, strength and perseverance are very important.
But teach me something. What is the best way to act in a business meeting?
Well, it depends on what meeting you're at. I mean, you have to act all different ways. It really depends on what meeting you're at. There are certain people that you'll act tough, and there are certain people you'll act as nice as you can be. It's all depending on the situation. I don't think you can say there's one way to act specifically. I think I always tend to act fair, and it seems to work pretty well.
But tell me, for instance, when you really want to make a deal, you know, how do you act in a meeting? Do you pretend that you don't want it? You keep cool? How do you do?
Well, I think you always pretend you don't want it if you want something. And if you don't want something, you pretend you want it. But frankly, and then you leave the room, because if you don't want it, what difference does it make? But I think every meeting is different. I don't think you can have one set formula. If you have one set formula, you're not going to be successful. Everybody is different. Every meeting is different. And you really have to go accordingly.
You always have to pretend a little bit.
I guess you always have to pretend, but you always want to maintain honesty and fairness.
Have you ever met anyone smarter than you in business?
Well, see, I don't know what the definition of smart in business. You know, the beauty of sports is at the end of 9 innings of baseball or at the end of a soccer match or a tennis match, you know who won and who lost. Sometimes in business, it takes years to determine that. You don't know a winner or a loser. And a lot of things change. The economies change for better and worse, etc. So business isn't so cut and defined. In other words, you think you made some great deal with somebody, and then 5 years later it turned out that he or she got the better of you. But I don't know, I've just done really well, and I'm very happy with the way I've done.
And who is your role model?
Well, I don't think I have a role model, but I have a great father and a great mother, and, you know, those are people that I put on pedestals. But I don't like to have a role model, but there are certainly people that throughout life you can respect. But I don't have a role model per se.
And how do you deal with the anxiety in business?
Well, anxiety is a tough word, because you really have to withstand pressure. And anxiety brings out pressure and maybe brings out wrong elements in you. I think that I just handle it well. I think to a certain extent you need good genes. If you have the right genes, you can handle anxiety. But there is a lot of anxiety in business.
Do you feel it?
Well, I feel it, but I feel it much less than other people. I mean, I have friends that are very smart, and they go out to buy a house. And literally, after buying the house, they can't sleep. You know, it destroys their life.
And do you sleep well, or your brain keeps working?
No, I sleep well. And I think if you don't sleep well, I think if things bother you so much that you can't sleep, that's almost a barometer. If things bother you so much that you can't sleep, then you can't take the pressure, and then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing.
How do you turn off the brain?
I don't know. It just works that way. I sleep. I mean, I'm able to sleep, and I'm able to
no pills?
Live. No pills. And I'm able to live, and I'm able to do what I want to do, and it sort of works out pretty well.
What are your weak points?
I think that, if anything, you know, I'm loyal to a fault, and I'll stay with people when I shouldn't stay with them, just because of the fact that I am so loyal. And I believe in loyalty. I love the word loyalty. I love the quality loyalty. But I'll sometimes stay with people much longer than other people will because of that loyalty.
Are you afraid of failure?
Well, I think everybody's afraid of failure. I don't know if the word is afraid, but it's something you don't like. If I'm playing golf, or if I'm in a deal, or if whatever I'm doing, I don't want to lose. And, you know, most people don't want to lose, but some people are born losers, as you know, and other people aren't. But no, I'm not afraid of failure, not at all.
But when you lose something, how do you react?
Well, it depends on what you're losing. I mean, you have business losses and you have personal losses, and I think the personal losses are much tougher. On a personal basis, that's much tougher.
And what are you afraid of?
You try not to be afraid of anything, and you know, I look at us as being very fragile. We're human beings, and everything very fragile. But you know, I really try not to be afraid of anything, because in the end, it all doesn't matter. We're here, we're gone. People forget who you were. People forget everything, and it really is a very fragile situation. But I really don't think I'm afraid per se of anything.
You can take it with you, right?
Well, you can't take it with you, but you can have a good time using it while you're here.
And what do you do when you were down?
Well, about a year and a half ago, I was really in a lot of trouble, as were a lot of other people, because the economy went so bad, and I was in a situation where I had a lot of things going, and the economy was very bad. And I think I just persevered. I mean, I just wrote it out, and it's like a surfer riding a wave out. I wrote it out. Now I'm doing well. Now I'm doing maybe better than ever, and people are doing comeback stories and all of this. But the fact is, we've been doing great, and it's really wonderful. I mean, it's really a wonderful thing.
Have you ever felt really depressed?
Everyone gets depressed at some point, and I don't know if I use the word depressed or you just feel down because things aren't going well. But I mean, only a liar would say that at some point they don't feel down. I'm generally an up person. I generally feel that that's important because psychologically that translates into victory ultimately. But everybody gets down every once in a while. And when you get down, you just have to ride that out also. You just sit back and go through the problem and ride it out.
You let it go.
You let it go. You have to let it go.
How did you make your fortune? How did you make your fortune?
Well, I started out building apartment houses in the outer boroughs in New York, and started out doing a lot of different things, tax shelter deals and a lot of different things, and built up something. And then I took over the Commodore Hotel in New York City and converted it into the Grand Hyatt, and it's still a very successful hotel, and a lot of other things. I mean, so many different things. The convention center was my concept, the New York City Convention Center, and so many different things. It's been really a ride, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a great creative process.
How long did it take to have this such a fortune?
Well, Trump Tower was built in 1980 and completed a little bit later, and just has been this tremendous thing. And I would say that that was the real start of more of a mega success. The completion of Trump Tower turned out to be a very successful building. It still is the most successful building in the city. And Trump Tower has been just something that's been unique. And
yeah, but from the beginning to the empire?
I would say 10 years. I would say that from 25 to 35, something like that, really was a very important, crucial period of time.
Pretty fast.
Pretty fast, yeah, pretty fast.
I have to know how you do.
You can do it pretty fast, actually, if you have the right ideas, and if the economy is going with you. I mean, the 1980s were a very good time. The 1990s so far haven't been great for most people, but they're starting to get very much better. And they're different times. I mean,
did you have the money to start?
No, but I built up money doing smaller deals, and ultimately I had enough successful small deals that I was backed for larger deals. And over a period of time, I started doing my own deals, 100%, because I had enough money. And
did someone help you?
Not per se, although I learned a lot from my father in terms of real estate, who was in the real estate business, and it just worked out.
But in money?
No. I mean, everybody at the banks were there,
okay,
and other
sure.
people, but not per se, no.
Does being a celebrity help you in business?
Well, it helps in business in one sense. Everyone returns your phone call. It hurts because they have their guard up. It hurts because you're under a little more pressure, and even under more pressure to produce. And if things don't go well, negative stories get written. So overall, I think it's a plus, but there are also some negative things about being a celebrity.
You mean gossips?
Well, even gossips. I mean, even the gossip kind of things. But you have a lot of negativeness in terms of being a celebrity, yes.
Does it hurt you?
No, I think I've gotten a much thicker skin. I think it used to hurt me, and I think it doesn't hurt me as much anymore. The one thing about your business, and whether it's newspapers or broadcasting, is that the story fades and it becomes yesterday's news, and really people don't care. I used to think that wasn't so, but it really is so. I mean, it's yesterday's news, and you may read it and be very upset that particular day, but ultimately it becomes yesterday's news.
But do you think, can you control your public image?
No, I don't think I can, not mine, because there's too much written. There's too much written. I think you can do a little bit, but I don't believe I could control my public. It's totally out of control. I mean, people write whatever they want to write. It's a very tough thing to control at this moment because there's so much written.
What do you think is your public image?
Well, I think it's a good businessman, somebody that's tougher than maybe I am. You know, I get a rap for being tough, and I don't like it, but it's there. You know, somebody that's done a good job. I think the public image is okay, but I think it's a very tough thing to control, especially when you get the amount of publicity that I get.
Mm-hmm. And do you carry cash? How much cash do you have on you now?
Right now, very little. I tell you,
pocket.
I carry very little cash. I don't believe in cash too much to carry around, and I just don't. I don't really carry very much. Probably, I mean, if you want me to reach in my pocket, I'll reach in my pocket.
Yeah.
But probably a couple of $100. That's all. I mean, that's all you need. You don't really need very much more. I don't seem to need very much more than that.
Okay. Are you tight with your money, or do you spend it easily?
Well, I'm both. I'm both tight and I spend easily. I mean, on a project or development, I tend to spend more than other people because I want it to be better. I want the best marbles. I want the best bronze. I want the best qualities of a project. But I also tend to be conservative. I can live conservatively if I had to. And I tend to be conservative. And
what do you mean?
Well, I tend to be, I just tend to be very conservative in my ways, in the way I live, and most of it relates to business. I think most of the big spending relates to business. Almost all of my life relates now to business.
But, for instance, in your personal expenses, how much money do you spend monthly?
Gee, I don't know. I mean, you read an article that was $450,000 a month, but I don't spend that much. I spend a lot, but a lot of it's business related. A lot of the money that I would spend would be business related, even if it looks personal. For instance, if you have a boat, or if you have a plane, or if you have a lot of these things, they look personal, but actually they're used mostly for business. So I don't think I spend an exorbitant amount on a personal basis.
But more or less than 400?
Less.
Less?
Less.
How
Absolutely.
can you? I can't believe it.
I can't. I can't either.
It was nothing. I couldn't do that.
It was a number that was written. The 400, it was a number that was at one time written, and it's just an incorrect number.
This is nothing, I mean.
What, 450,000 a month?
Sure.
Seems like a lot of money.
Oh my
to me.
God.
So you're in a different strata. To me, it sounds like a lot.
But in what do you spend it?
Well, I mean, I live nicely. I have a nice apartment. I have nice restaurants. I have nice, means of transportation and everything. But beyond that, you can only go so far. I mean, how big can your car get? How big can your boat get? You can only go to a certain point. And I think that I haven't reached an ultimate point. I could go further if I wanted to, but I just don't want to.
What do you mean go further?
I could go further in the way I spend. I could spend more money.
In what?
Than I want. I could get bigger this or bigger that, but I just don't want to.
How much do you pay monthly to Ivana?
Well, I pay her a lot of money. I've paid her already $10 million in cash, and I've paid her, given her a house and everything else. People would say it's like a $25 million package. But I also pay her a lot of money in alimony, and
how much is it?
Well, it's a substantial amount of money.
All
without
right.
getting into numbers. It's a very substantial amount of money. So she never has to work again for the rest of her life, and perhaps she'll choose that route. I don't know. I don't know what route she'll choose, but perhaps she will.
Lucky girl.
She's lucky. She's very lucky.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
actually a very lucky lady.
Sure. And was Marla Maples the real reason for your divorce?
No, I was going to leave anyway. Marla was there, but I was going to leave anyway. and it's just something I wanted to do. And that's the way it is. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there's so much press. When other people leave, it's like nobody cares, and with me, it's always front-page stories. But I didn't leave for anybody. I left because I wanted to leave.
Are you a good husband?
I think I was a good husband. I actually think I was a good husband. I would say that I wasn't given credit for being a good husband, but I believe I was. I believe I was a very good husband.
Do you intend to marry Marla?
We're going to see what happens. We get along great, and we'll see what happens over a period of time. I don't want to think about it right now because, frankly, I have a lot of other things to think about, but we're going to see what happens over a period of time.
Are you in love?
Everybody's in love at some point. At some point. Are you in love?
Oh, this is my show, but you have to just answer, no question.
Okay. No, everyone, I mean, I have a great relationship with Marla, and it's been really outstanding, and she's a wonderful girl, and we'll see what happens over a period of time.
What attracts you into a woman?
Well, once you get past the physical, and only a liar would be saying that the physical doesn't mean anything, and we're not supposed to say that, and if a woman can look like anything, but you can fall in love, but that's nonsense. I mean, once you get beyond the physical, it's a lot of things, but it's also a sense of loyalty, it's also a sense of, inner beauty or inner peace. I don't know, but, and I think it can be different qualities for different women. I mean, a person can meet different people and like different people, but...
The main points. What are the main points?
Of a woman? Beyond the physical?
The physical has to be, she has to be beautiful, that's it.
I think she should, you know, personally she has to be beautiful, and for me, to be attractive. But that's the least of it, because once you're out beyond the beauty, there are many beautiful women. There has to be an inner strength, and there has to be an inner peace. There has to be a great loyalty. You have to know that there's a solidity to the woman. It's very important, all very important. There has to be intelligence and fun and humor. But there are a lot of traits. It's interesting because you can see a beautiful woman, a totally beautiful woman, and you die when you go out because it's so boring. I mean, that happens oftentimes, as it happens with men. I mean, you go out with men, and
certainly.
You know, but there has to be a lot of qualities, and they can be different qualities. But I think even an independence or a strength is important.
Do you think you are a womanizer?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm given credit for being a womanizer. Yeah. But I don't think I'm a womanizer. I appreciate women. I adore women. I think they are beautiful. And I respect women greatly, very, very much. But I don't think I'm a womanizer, no.
Aren't you afraid that women only want your money?
Well, I think that's something that certainly can be thought about. I mean, you know, there's a certain type of woman that is a gold digger, and I've seen them in the past, and you'll see them in the future, and you see it with other people. I mean, you see a man who has a lot of money married to somebody that obviously doesn't really love him, in my opinion. I've seen it in many cases. So you always have to have your guard up for that. You don't want that. It's a tough thing to guard against, but absolutely there's always that prospect.
Have you ever asked yourself, does she love me or my money?
I ask myself that because you have to. If you're lucky enough to have a lot of money, you always have to say, hey, you know, is it me or is it the money? I don't know. I find that I don't think I worry too much about that. You become paranoid. You find somebody that you like. You find somebody that you get along with, and if it works out well, that's great. And
how do you know?
You never know. I mean, you know when you die. You know at the end of the whole relationship, because you can get into a relationship that you think is great. I mean, I had a case where somebody was married, and I thought very happily married, and when that person was killed actually in an accident, an airplane accident. Oh. And his wife, who I thought was so great and so wonderful, was going out with other guys 3 months after he died. Now, I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying, to me, it's disappointing, because I think when you have what I would have considered to be a great relationship, you should almost say, hey, he can never be replaced. Now, that would be the ideal thing to say, but you have a whole life to lead. But I was just disappointed by this particular instance. I thought that it was something that was surprising. I thought that there was more respect than that for the other man. And it taught me something. I mean, you're gone, and once you're gone, a woman or a man, for that matter, will look, and find somebody else. And, you know, The love is not as beautiful as sometimes it is perceived.
Do you think all women want to trap you into marriage?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of instances where I've had certain problems with that, but you know, you have to be smart and you have to let them know where you stand in life. But I think people would like to marry certain types of people. It's you know, that would be considered a good catch, yeah.
Do you think you are the fantasy of all of them?
I don't know if I'm the fantasy, but perhaps I would be. I mean, I don't know why necessarily, but perhaps I would be. Perhaps I would be.
You don't know why?
I have an idea why.
Tell me.
No, I better not. I better not.
Are you a jealous man?
Not overly jealous. I'm jealous like everybody else, but I think not overly jealous. If I'm with somebody and things are working out, see, you shouldn't have to be jealous in a relationship. A relationship is beyond jealousy. If you have to be jealous in a relationship, probably the relationship won't work.
Has anyone ever betrayed you?
In business or generally, I think everybody is betrayed in life. I think everybody is betrayed. Life is very strange in that sense. In business, you're betrayed. Probably in romance, you're betrayed, but oftentimes you don't find out about it. If I ever found that I was betrayed in romance, that girl wouldn't have a shot. I mean, you have so many people that find out they've been betrayed and they give the woman a second chance. I would not give a second chance. And I don't think it's ever happened to me, and that's good. But I'm really sure that it hasn't happened. But you have to, you know, betrayal is a very strong word, and it's something that you really have to come down on very hard. If you're betrayed by somebody, that means you're going to be betrayed again, in my opinion. There can't be any apologies. You're going to be betrayed again, so you have to cut it.
And in business?
In business, the same thing. If somebody betrays you in business, they will betray you again. They can't apologize. They can't make amends. They'll do it again, so you have to cut them.
Did it happen to you?
I've had cases where people have been disloyal. I don't know if I would use the word betrayed. And those people are gone, absolutely gone.
How do you know if you can really trust a person?
I'm not sure that you know. I'm not sure that you know until you die. I think death is a very interesting thing, because in death you look down or up or wherever you happen to be, and you almost see the attitude of the person. I mean, how devastated is the person? How long will the devastation last? You know, was the relationship that great? And I've just found too many people where I've seen where I've thought they've had great relationships, and in fact they didn't. Where one of them leaves and the other one goes right on to somebody else. And to me that's sad, because that's not the way it's supposed to work. I mean, we're only here for a certain period of time, so and it's really not that important, to be perfectly honest. So we're here for a certain period of time, and I just think there should be more loyalty in a relationship. Like, it would be nice to say one-on-one forever, but it doesn't really work that way.
You talk a lot about loyalty. Have you ever been disappointed?
Oh, you're disappointed all the time. I mean, I've had people that left me for another job for a little bit more money that I thought were good people, that were doing a good job, and I thought there was a sense of loyalty. And they've left me. I mean, they just went out and left because somebody offered them a little bit more money because they happened to be working for me. They turned out not to be even very good people, because half of the time they'd come back looking for another job 2 years later, and I wouldn't even think about it. So we're all betrayed, and at some point, and sometimes for stupid reasons.
Do you have enemies?
I have a lot of enemies. I have a lot of friends. I have good enemies and good friends, and probably that's the way it should work in life.
What kind of enemies?
Well, I mean, I have people in business that are enemies. I have people, even socially, that are enemies. But, you know, you just have to handle your enemies. You try and bury your enemies. You know, my attitude is, a lot of people think just take it easy with the enemies, and my attitude is try and bury your enemies.
Are you a vindictive person?
Is she married? Is she not married? What's the story?
Sure, I'm married.
Huh?
No, completely married.
No, are you married?
Happily married.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's nice to hear. They're all smiling. Why are they all smiling? That's nice.
Okay.
So, let's go?
Yes.
Go on. So far, so good, isn't it?
Well, so far so good. We're having a good time.
Do you have any problem? No.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Are you having a good time?
I'm having a good time.
Good.
I just heard you're the biggest actress in Brazil. Why shouldn't I have a good time?
Are you a vindictive person?
Yes. Yes, I am. If somebody goes out to hurt me or somebody that I love, I am very vindictive, yes.
What do you do?
Well, I do whatever I can.
Revenge.
Absolutely. I believe in revenge, an eye for an eye. I believe in death penalties. I believe in, you know, revenge. Revenge is a great thing because when somebody does something to you, I really believe strongly in revenge.
And have you done it?
Well, I mean, my whole life is based on you know, fighting.
Revenge.
No, it's based on fighting people that fight me and fighting them strongly and winning.
Do you think you inspired lots of envy?
Well, I think my lifestyle does. I think my age does. You know, I'm relatively young. I used to be very young for what I did. Now I'm relatively young for what I do. And I think my age probably creates enemies. People say, you know, he's too young to be doing this and it's not fair or whatever. They've worked in their 70 and they haven't done what I've done. But I don't mind creating envy because people that are envious aren't good people. And I say screw them. I really don't mind creating envy. I think I create envy, but I also create something where a lot of people aspire to be successful because of what I've done. And that's a positive thing. It puts people to work, it's jobs, it's economic development, it's lifestyle. It's, you know, it's a positive as well as a negative.
But do you care about the envious people?
I don't care about them. I couldn't care less about them. If they're envious, they're not my friends, and if they're not my friends, who cares?
Do you feel any lack in your life?
Well, not really. I mean, you go through periods where you feel a little empty, and you go through periods where you feel fabulous. But overall, I think my life has been very full. I mean, you know, who's had a fuller life than what I've had? So if I would feel empty or whatever, it would be a real problem because the rest of the world would have a real problem, I suspect. No, I've had a really full, for the number of years, I've had a really full life.
Would you like to be involved in politics?
Well, I've often thought about it. I've often been asked to run for office. So far, I've declined. You know, if the world continues to go so badly, maybe someday, but I have no plans of it right now.
Have you ever thought of being the president of the United States?
Well, I've thought about the concept of the job, but it's just something that hasn't intrigued me as of this moment. And
don't you want to have more power?
no, I don't think in terms of power. I think in terms of enjoying what I'm doing, and I enjoy what I'm doing, but not power.
But do you feel you have enough power?
Well, if you have enough. I mean, I have power now, but it's a different kind of power. I love creating things. I love creating beautiful buildings. We have so many Brazilians living in Trump Tower, as an example, and going to the Plaza Hotel, which is the #1 hotel in New York. And we have so many Brazilians. Like this morning I left the Plaza and the place is loaded. I said, where are these people from Brazil? There are so many people from Brazil. And, you know, it's a great tribute to the hotel. It's a great tribute. And one of the reasons I even do this is because the Brazilians have been great to me. And they've used my product and they buy my apartments and they use my hotels. And they use my casinos in Atlantic City. We have tremendous high rollers going down to Atlantic City who are from Brazil. And, you know, I really appreciate that country. I was there a couple of years ago, as you know, and I think it's a great country. I think it's potentially a great country.
You were in Brazil, yes. Did you make any deal there?
No, I didn't make deals there. I was there for a horse race, the Trump Cup, it was called, is called, and it was a big horse race in Brazil, but we went to Rio, and it was really fabulous. It was interesting.
But are you building a hotel in São Paulo, is it true?
No. It's not true at all.
It's not true?
No.
And are you investing there?
I would invest. I was a little bit disappointed with Rio. I thought it would be a much cleaner place. It's not very clean, and it wasn't in good shape when I looked at it. Now, this was 2 years ago, but...
what do you mean by clean?
Clean. It just wasn't the image. The image I have of Rio de Janeiro is an image of beauty and opulence and cleanliness. And I mean, I saw homeless all over the streets. I saw homeless people staying on the beaches and living on the beach, and I saw the buildings weren't sparkling like I thought they would be. They were really tarnished and dirty. And I was really disappointed with Rio. I was very impressed with the people of Brazil that I met, and I think they're tremendous people. But I was not at all impressed with what happened to Rio de Janeiro, because I've seen it before. I saw it many years ago, and you know, my impression was much better than the last time I visited. It's gone down a long way, and that's unfortunate.
And,
do you agree with me, by the way?
Sure. Are you afraid of our economic situation?
Well, I think your economic situation is a little bit unstable, but
would you invest there anyway?
I think I'd invest there. I think I think the people are tremendous in Brazil, and that's what you're banking on, is the people. And certainly you have great natural resources in Brazil, but you do have a fairly unstable world right there. No question about it.
What would be your solution to inflation?
Well, inflation all over the world is rampant now, and probably not as rampant, however, as it was, because we're in almost a depression throughout much of the world. If you go to London, if you go to England, if you go to various countries, including the United States, where certain sectors of our economy are in a virtual depression. And unfortunately, that's the biggest cure for inflation, and that's really been curing inflation. But I think you need low interest rates. I think you're going to need some real good, strong economic news, and that ultimately will take care of not only the depression, which is the cure, it's the ultimate cure, but who wants it? But just strength and solidity of the economies is going to take care of the inflation. But you have huge inflation in Brazil. You have a different kind of inflation than we understand.
Do you know our president, Collor?
I do not.
No.
No, I do not.
Do you think Brazilians are a little bit naive in business?
No, I think they're relying on their politicians, and hopefully you're going to find somebody that's going to do a great job.
You invest a lot of money in gambling. Would you like to have a casino in Brazil?
I'd love it. I actually thought about a casino in Rio, but the problem with casinos is they bring a lot of crime. They bring a lot of prostitution and AIDS and this and that. They bring tremendous problems with them. And most countries, after having looked at all of the assets and all of the liabilities, they've decided against them. Because Brazil, as much crime as you may have, you'll have a lot more if you ever had gambling over there. And Brazil is a country with great natural resources. They should use their natural resources and not just drain the people by gambling. Because you're going to take the money from the people that don't have it. They're going to be the ones that gamble. Then they're going to go out and commit crimes to get more money so they can gamble again. And it's just something that unless you really need it, you shouldn't do it, because it's going to be very negative for the economy. It's going to bring huge waves of crime.
And the mafia is known to be involved in the casino business. How do you deal with them?
Well, I don't see them. I tell you what, I don't see that they're involved. We have a very strong Casino Control Commission, and I don't see the mafia whatsoever as far as Atlantic City is concerned. I have 3 tremendous buildings in Atlantic City: Trump Castle, the Taj Mahal, and Trump Plaza. And we don't see any signs of it. Now, part of the reason is that we have a very strong Casino Control Commission that sort of monitors everything and all, but we just don't see it.
Has the mafia ever put any pressure on you?
No, no. I think they know better.
Why?
Because I think they feel that I'm above their kind of pressure. And they're right.
Why?
Because I'm just not going to succumb to pressure by these people. And they know it, and so they don't come at me. They come perhaps at other people, but they certainly don't come at me.
But why? Everybody is afraid of mafia.
Well, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But we have a lot of checks and balances in this country, and we really have, the mafia is very much on the run in this country. I can't speak for Brazil or anyplace else. I'm just saying in this country the mafia is very much on the run, and they have a lot of prosecutions of the mafia, and the mafia is very much disorganized right now.
Have you ever felt intimidated by them?
No.
Never?
I've never had any pressure put on me by the mafia, no.
You said you passed a bad moment last year, right?
Right.
What are the main mistakes that led to your difficulties?
Well, I think the business aspects of it are that I was building and building and building, and we had huge depression in the United States. And when the depression came, everybody that was doing something, I mean, you see it with so many companies right now, from Olympia, New York, who look like they might not make it, to a lot of other people. When you're building and working, it's very tough when you're going through a very tough period. But I came out good. It worked out fantastically well for me, and probably that's why you're doing the interview. I don't know, but it worked out well.
Yeah, sure.
And I came out good. Some people came out good. Some people didn't come out good.
What happened exactly with your casino, Taj Mahal?
The Taj Mahal is doing record business. It's doing numbers the highest in the history of the gambling business. This month it did $35 million in 1 month. It's going to make a lot of money. It's going to be a real successful building. People love it. The Brazilians love it. They're there all the time, and people really love it. It's become a real success.
And no bankruptcy?
No, the Taj Mahal has become like one of the most successful buildings anywhere in this country right now. It's been a real success.
So the bankruptcy is a gossip?
No, people talk about everything. I mean, they talk about, did Trump go bankrupt? I didn't go bankrupt. I had a rough time like everybody else, but I didn't. And I came back and, you know, fought. And I think that's through a certain toughness and other things, but it's really through a certain toughness. The Taj Mahal is doing fantastically, too.
In '87, you had a $3 billion fortune. And now, what is your fortune now?
I don't know what it is right now. I mean, I'd have to say that it varies depending on what the market is, because it goes up and down by huge numbers depending on what the market is. Right now, the market's getting better. It's getting stronger. The United States is getting stronger in terms of real estate. People are coming in from Brazil and other countries and buying real estate in the United States because they're getting it right price. And I think the market's going up. So it's pretty substantial, but I don't know what it is. I really have no idea.
You lost the control.
Well, I lost count. I mean, I just don't know what it would be, but it would be up there. It would be pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Oh. But you are no longer on the list of the richest people in the world.
Well, see, I don't know who makes up the list, and I don't care if I'm on the list or not. You know, you have to know yourself. A lot of people are off the list this year, and they'll be back on it in 2 years or next year. It depends. I mean, it depends on what list we're talking about. I'm on some lists, I'm not on other lists, and it's just something that doesn't matter very much to me.
Suddenly you wake up in the morning, you have no money at all. Could you start it again?
Yes, I think I could. I think if I was forced to, I don't want to be ever forced to, but if I was forced to, I think I could start it again. If I had the incentive to start it again, I'd have to have a reason for wanting to do it again. But assuming I had that reason...
What would be this reason?
Well, I mean, for my own satisfaction. I mean, I'd have to have the reason for starting it again. But assuming I had that reason, I could start it again and do well.
Is it harder to get to the top or to stay there?
It's both. I think it's harder to get to the top, frankly, but it's both. I mean, the expression is it's harder to stay there than get there, but I really believe it's harder to get there. But a lot of factors come in, and there's an element of luck, too. Economies have to stay strong. You have to be very smart. You do need elements of luck. And, you know, just so far it's worked out for me. It's worked out well.
Do you have any goal now?
Just to keep doing what I'm doing. It's been going good, and just to keep it going and enjoy myself and do interviews with you again sometime in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Put that down as a goal.
I will come back.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the
nice
interview.
Seeing you. Good luck.
Good luck, you too.